post the argument.
Alright.
And just premise you disagree with.
Okay. God purely subsists. Assumption for reductio. What do you mean by God purely subsists? What does that mean?
Mental existence, just in the way Meinong formulates it.
Existence and subsistence are greater than pure subsistence. And being. Why is existence and subsistence greater than subsistence?
Because it allows for interactions in reality. And it allows for, that's literally it, because it just allows for interactions in reality. Because when we talk about great making properties, essentially it boils down to both something intuitional and also something which negates limits. So when we talk about existence, we're talking about having actual interactions with the actual world. So in that sense, both existing in reality and mental existence would be greater than just purely subsistent as the argument.
Okay. So, well, I think that's assuming that existence is a great making property at all.
No, it's not. There's a difference. So this is what a lot of people get wrong. So the argument does not purport that existence itself as a predicate. What we're trying to actually say is necessary existence in this case, or we can actually you can just defend both arguments, because the thing Kant tried to claim was that if existence does not add anything to a concept, so it can't be a predicate in that sense. But here in this like Meinongian ontology, which we're trying to like propose here, we're talking about both. We're actually distinguishing between the concept of an entity when we talk about subsistence and existing in reality when we're talking about existing. So, like what I said before about how we define great making properties would still like apply here, because it's just something which purely subsists. Like as I already said, like just be how to say this, less greater being also existent.
Okay. Having all God's properties plus existence in reality is greater. Is metaphysically possible. Being greater than God is metaphysically possible. It's false that it being.
Yeah, it's just another assumption.
So wouldn't premise 5 and premise 6 be a contradiction? Because if it says that.
No, which one?
Yeah, it says.
No, agree. Argument.
A being greater than God is metaphysically possible, and then it says it is false to being
Yeah,
greater.
that's just an assumption for reductio, that's the point. So if you were to accept all the premises, then 5 would follow, but 5 can't follow because of the definition of God. So you're forced to accept the conclusion.
Well, no, wouldn't. Okay, well, if the premises don't follow from 5, then wouldn't that just make the argument invalid?
No, 5 is a contradiction if you were to accept that something can both exist and subsist. Or, I mean, something like, what was it again? Yeah, that you can conceive of like an entity which is greater than God would be capable of subsisting in that sense. So a contradiction is that, well, existence will still be greater than God. So what we're actually trying to conceive of is a entity greater than God, but that's the contradiction. That's what premise 5 is trying to show.
Okay. It has false that hence it is false that God purely subsists rather than false existence. Hence God exists in reality. Okay. So what do you say your argument is that God exists is subsists? Like, how do you know that? Sorry, I'm just going back to the first premise.
Well, there's like, I'm not sure what the problem is.
Well, how do you know God
I know that God subsists.
Yeah.
I mean, anything which is definitional, or which has a definition, like subsists, as Meinong says.
So everything is subsistence basically that exists inside a mind?
See, I mean, that's like a poor labeling, but I guess it might work, so you can just work under that for now.
So it's greater to exist in reality and exist inside a mind than just exist inside a mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I get we went on the whole point about existence being a property of like perfection or absolute greatness, right? But why does interacting with a physical
Well,
reality? Well,
it
yeah,
can.
I'm still confused
Oh,
on how
no,
interacting.
but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm going to clarify something. Like, it doesn't have to be a property of the divine. If you were to just accept that there's a difference between existence and subsistence, then it can be an additional property to literally anything. Because that's what a property is meant to be. It's meant, like, it's just meant to, like, I guess most philosophers call it, just meant to give us information about something's essence, or you can just say its definition. So if we were to distinguish between subsistence and existence in that sense, then you can't hold that existence is not a predicate. And if you're talking about existence specifically being a great making property, then I already told you why. Because when we reference a great making property, we're either talking about something intuitional or something which, how do I say this, which negates limits in relation to the world. So, for example, when you say all like power is a great making property, we're talking about capability to actualize, let's say, like any logical state of affairs. That would be greater than, let's say, like me and you just being able to, I well, not being able to do that. So that's what we mean by great making property.
I think a great making property, that term in itself is too broad. I think if we were to talk about a great making property, it must be in a subjective sense. Like, if we talk about how much money I have a
Hold up,
greater
give me
amount
a
of.
sec.
Okay. Bro, we have to continue later.